Bag milk with me as an oversupplier while I talk about how incredibly unprepared I was to breastfeed my baby. Let me start by saying that I am 3 months postpartum, and I thought I did enough research on this topic of breastfeeding. I did not. 2 days after giving birth, I was extremely engorged and I ended up contracting mastitis. Backstory to the backstory, I actually quadrupled my breast size throughout my entire pregnancy, so that should have been sign number one that my body was ready to feed a baby. Actually, my body was ready to feed the village. But shortly after giving birth, I had these get really tight. It's hard to get off. Okay. I had a lactation consultant come visit me because typically at the hospital they come to help you, figure out how to get latch, especially if it's your first baby. They make sure that everything's going good. They check the baby for tongue ties, and they try to help you learn the experience because you can't actually practice and learn on your own prior to giving birth. And having the baby there for actual physical practice. So lactation consultant came in the room and I'm like, okay, cool. That was the day after I gave birth. So she took one look at my boobs and she was like, do you have implants? I said, excuse me? She said, it looks like you have implants. I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. She was like, okay, so you are what we called extremely engorged, and we got to get this milk moving. So it turns out that the issue was that, my baby was sleep feeding. She prioritized sleeping over eating. She was not really, every time I put her to the boob, she would fall asleep. So I wasn't getting the relief I needed to get the milk going, and she wasn't really eating anything. So that's what we worked on that day. So fast forwarding to the day that we went home from the hospital, still not able to successfully latch my baby. She was still very sleepy at the boob. But mind you, I had an all natural birth, so it wasn't like she didn't have any medicine or any epidural in her system at all. She was just, I guess, sleepy from the experience of birth itself. But the day after, I was in excruciating pain. I contacted a lactation consultant that night. I think it was 3 a.m. in the morning. I was like, I have to see somebody tomorrow. And thankfully, they had next day appointments. So I went in that next day, seeing a lactation consultant, and she helped me try to figure out how to get a better latch with my baby. But basically, they were so engorged that my baby couldn't get a good chunk of the nini in her mouth. So I had to pump to get them soft enough for her to latch onto it. That's how rock hard they were. It was so painful, y'all. Then after leaving the lactation consultant, I experienced this very excruciating sharp pain right under my boob. There was a knot there that just would not move. Worse pain. I almost could say it was worse than birth, in my opinion. And then shortly after that, this was a Friday because I gave birth on a Wednesday. So they were closed the entire weekend. And then that Monday, I woke up with chills and shivering. And I'm like, what? Am I contracting the flu? It just felt like flu-like symptoms. I was like, okay, no, I've read about this. This has to be mastitis because I haven't been anywhere unless I contracted something from somebody at the hospital, which is possible. They are out and about and around people just like everybody else. But no, it ended up being mastitis. So that Monday I had to go in to see the lactation consultant again. Mind you, I had just seen them on a Friday, so it was not even a full business day in between before I had to see them again. Went to go see them again. They prescribed me antibiotics. Had to take the antibiotics for 10 days straight. You have to take the full dose to make sure that whatever is being cleared out completely and there's no lingering effects or of infection or whatever. Whew, this is a lot of milk, y'all. This is, believe it or not, 3.5 days worth of milk. Yeah. So really, since I gave birth, me and my baby and my husband would go and see a lactation consultant at least 2 times a week. I felt like I was in school, like they were working with me, like teaching me and giving me step by step on how to control this oversupply so that I didn't get mastitis again, and so I could help reduce any clogs that I was having. Because one, it was really, really hard for baby to get a good latch still. She could latch to one boob but not the other. And 2, I was constantly getting clogs, and I was constantly engorged, and I was constantly in pain. So I really had to figure something out, and they were doing their very best to help me out. And I'm just so thankful for them, because it took like, I want to say it took like 2.5 months, 2 months to 2.5 months to really get a good system going to where I started feeling a bit more comfortable. Like I was pumping every 3 hours. They recommended me to not pump to empty. They told me to pump out a specific amount so that my body would then get used to, would then get used to creating that specific amount for my baby. And I tried that, and that method did not work for me. I think what ended up really working in the end was just my body realizing that, I only had 1 baby and not 6. And then it just kind of slowed down the milk. Once I got past the 6-week mark, it really took about 2 full months in order for my supply to kind of regulate and calm down and not get as many clogs. But I was taking sunflower lecithin, 4 pills of sunflower lecithin a day. I was drinking water like crazy, trying to make sure it was as thin as possible. Practicing latching. Latching definitely helped as well, because latching allowed those clogs to come out a bit better. Like it would really open up the, what are they called? Tunnels. I don't know, what's the word? Milk ducts. Milk ducts is the word. I think I just wish that I was a little bit more educated on the topic of breastfeeding prior to my baby getting here, because it was really hard those first couple of weeks or months really with my baby. And I kind of felt bad as a mom because I was struggling. Like I was absolutely in love with my baby, enamored with her, but I felt like I couldn't do all the things that I wanted to do with her because I was in so much pain in the beginning. So yeah, I guess the moral of the story is to just really, really research breastfeeding if that's what you plan to do. Yeah, I mean, I could have given her formula, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to breastfeed her. So I was really committed to figuring this out. And it all worked out in the end, but yeah, moral of the story, just if you're pregnant and this is your first child, go see a lactation consultant and learn all there is to know about breastfeeding, and go see them shortly after giving birth as well, because it was needed for sure.